Here we go, play day number 8, and guess what, folks? We're going to get into it super quick here. Sorry about the little delays there, but we just had some technical issues in the background. Our first matchup of the day is going to be Unemployment taking on Gaimin Gladiators. We'll talk a bit more about the stage, but we need to get into this game. Okay, Unemployment Cookies, tell us a bit about them and what we can expect from this match.
Today's going to be hilarious because
understatement.
That's not Unemployment. And also, Unemployment is not playing with CZ today. CZ, unfortunately, he's got an injury. He's not playing. Yeah. He's not going to be here. They're going to have Whitlock in his place. So it's going to be like the 50th game this stage where these guys haven't had their full roster. It's been the story. At this point, don't worry about it. Okay, we know who Unemployment is. It's Karn's team. It's Karn. We know. Forceful. Let's talk about the other team that they're playing right now.
Okay, quick. It's just before we go there, I want a quick question. How do they win without CZ? I mean, the only games they've won, he's dropped 18 bombs. On the other side, right? We got Gaimin Gladiators, and that is not Gaimin Gladiators. But so it doesn't matter because they are also playing with a sub. One of their players unable to have good internet today. They were managed to pull an emergency sub. They've got Louis Silent. You guys might remember him from back on his days on Mirage. He also played in Challenger League in Stage 2 and 1 on Wave Runners and on I don't remember the other team off the top of my head. I apologize. But he's
we'll Google it. We'll wait.
We'll wait.
No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm gonna get Googling. But either way, he's a very solid player. He used to team with Quartz. They're going to be able to have that dynamic chemistry, and we're going to get to see them both play. It's an important game. Both teams are trying to stave off that relegation game, and they're also trying to avoid that auto elimination game. So whoever wins this one will probably be safer, right? So it's a pretty big game for both of these teams.
It's important. It's important to know where we're going to go, though, because without a map veto, where are you going to play?
Yeah, guys, the critical point here is that we need to know where we're going because we are currently behind. Okay, let's see. Border being insta-banned by Unemployment. Gaimin Gladiators did take down Luminosity there on Border. Gaimin Gladiators also could have had a win on Clubhouse yesterday. And you see that's also getting banned out on the side of Karn's team, which is actually interesting because you'd think that's Karn's team. Clubhouse, they love that. No, we're going to Oregon of all maps. With teams that both have subs, I'd say that's fair, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, Equalizer map, it kind of checks out. You want to go to a map that everyone kind of knows where they're playing, what the positions are. Both teams are bringing in comp players as their substitutes. Therefore, it's not like a whole lot of dynamic changes you have to make. It's just going to be a nice comfort Equalizer map for both these teams. And I remember the team for Silent, it was Hype Unit. That's the team he used to be on.
Well, here's the best part. Each team, boys, has a sub, okay? But more importantly, on our broadcast, we've got a bit of a sub as well coming on the casting front. So we're going to get into Oregon, and I'll let you guys figure that out.
Well, hello there, because usually I'm on the desk, but unfortunately, all of you lovely viewers are going to have to worry and listen to me for the entirety of a game instead of just a 5-minute segment. My name is C-Dubs. To my side is Fellow. Usually he's actually a caster here, but I'm just filling in.
Yeah, I don't have to go and switch roles with you. Thank God. I'd probably be horrible as a desk. I already struggle as a caster, but I think we're going to have a fun day today. Might be starting a little bit late, but this matchup in theory should be close. Like Tanner and the rest of the desk mentioned, it is an Equalizer map of Oregon, and both these teams are relatively similar in skill. It's just one of the two teams' placements is significantly higher than the other one because Gaimin, they just haven't had a good stage at all.
Yeah, and that's kind of putting things bluntly because they could find themselves, if this result doesn't go their way, already locked in that automatic relegation spot, and that's the worst kind of relegation that you could be. You have no hope. Absolutely no hope. You're automatically gone. You don't even get to fight for your spot. So here, this is essentially could be seen as their relegation game because they also would need some help. They need some choking from the teams like LSR and Aerial Arise who are starting to pull ahead of them.
Well, diving into the bans, we've got Unemployment starting out on the defense and Gaimin on the attack. In terms of play style for Gaimin Gladiators, I feel like a lot of the time they tend to kind of play by themselves, not necessarily for themselves, which can lead them to a lot of heavy isolation against their opponents. So depending on how Unemployment want to play on that roam game, especially since with their core roster now having very strong frag type players, that could definitely pay a lot of major dividends. So far for the bans, we've got the Flores and the Ying, which when you have something like a Thatcher in the mix seems pretty normal for the secondary ban, but because they were both taken off the board, that does allow a lot of ease of access in terms of hard destruction and maybe a lot of those executes speeding up a bit because you don't have to worry about those K claws, for example.
Yeah, I mean, overall, with the Gaming Gladiators taking out the Ying and Wamai, they're trying to simplify the game just a little bit. You know, you're not going to have to burn 50 million times. And on the defensive side, you're not going to have to worry about those Candelas just stealing your vision. And having a team like Unemployment, who has historically struggled in these last few games with the execute phase, they're not going to have that free hit the execute button. Just throw the Candelas and sprint on in, get that map control easy, and kind of break the stalemate. And pretty much what you're going to see mostly is where's the stalemate going to get broken on this opening site of basement. This is a bomb site, you know, kind of the only one still left on Oregon that doesn't lean towards this attacker-sided facet. Hopefully for Unemployment, for them to get their best foot forward, it will allow them to, you know, kind of hold on to this bunker of defense.
And you can tend to waste a lot of time on this site as well. A lot of vast extensions you can opt to go for, not only in the first floor when you tend to see someone play maybe a little bit deeper in freezer with some extra utility and a shield near highway, including elbow positions as well, as we see that extension being made by Unemployment. But you can also play up above, maybe opting to have those rotates stacked up near security and kitchen, for example. It's exactly what Unemployment is opting to do. And again, that ties into if you can get that early entry game, and if you can stall out Gaming Gladiators a ton before they can even get ready to set up for that site execute, it could deal a lot of hurt to Gaming and cost them a lot of valuable rounds on their attack, because depending on how well you can do in your attacking rounds, you could sweep an entire best of one series on Oregon.
Yeah, you definitely can. And there's also going to be a whole lot of emphasis on players like Easy, players like Mikey, as well as even Indian Hat. That it seems like we have a 4-man roam, which is Unemployment saying, hey, we want to hold on to all the map control in the world. You know, the map control that truly matters and is very important, you know, the bomb site. We're going to leave that up to Karn. He can handle it. He's on smoke. He can throw a toxic vapor too and try to, you know, buy enough time for the rest of the boys to get back. They've opened up patches. They've taken away the color on our screen as Jolton takes away the beautiful default cam with a nice wallbang lineup and starts droning out this extension on the top floor. Mikey's already using the Kiba barriers to really reconstruct what is upstairs, the angles, lines of sight, the ability for Gaming Gladiators to put pressure upon him, and nades wasted away by Barring is another not good omen.
Unemployment so far trying to play as close to each other as possible. We see that fallback eventually occur as the first minute has now burned away. No longer will we get to see that top floor presence, but only Barring is up above. He can still play around that hatch, but no genuine vertical play is definitely going to allow Employment to stay on this middle floor for a lot longer. But just as I say that, they finally fall back, but still burning through a minute 30. And on top of that, having the entire basement floor to play around all this util is going to be massive. The only person who did not commit to that basement floor was Hat, and he still wins that entry duel as the Finca of Barring will fall.
Yeah, and that's a good first pick to go for, because now all chip damage, it can't get automatically healed on the side of Gaming Gladiators attack. And now any gunfight that Unemployment go for, if they get a bullet or even if they fall, it will be more impactful. As well as Barring's one of those players that's kind of what you want as the spearhead going towards this defensive, or pardon me, this attack. You need to push through. You need to get aggressive. You need to have somebody push through and break the stalemate. And so far right now, it's only the nade of Court, as everything else is just kind of floundering away. They're pushing up through freezer. They're having a little bit of control and just more nades flying through. But you see, not a whole lot of damage done to any of the game or Unemployment defenders.
Well, here finally something happens for the offense that looks good, but it's not going to last for all that long. Silent only able to confirm a singular kill. Carnage joins in the fun as well. Jolton may eventually shut down that smoke, but the damage, it's already been done. A 3 versus 2 with multiple players, very low in HP, but the only option that Gaming has currently is just tretching their way forward inside a freezer, and currently crossfires could easily be stacked up. One player on pillar, another in your closet, and one close to that default plant position. This could be very damaging, but CZ gets down, and Quartz is able to find a nice headshot onto Indy, forcing a 1 versus 2. All of a sudden, it's Mikey by himself, low on HP, and position roughly known by Unemployment, but he stops the plant. 2 seconds left. Quartz runs out of ammo, and the round is somehow salvaged by Unemployment due to the fact no one was properly covering that closet position.
I know that the heist got relegated automatically last stage, but man, oh man, that's exactly what Mikey did right there. That was an absolute heist. How he stole that round was just pure game sense and a little bit of audio cues to know that the plant spot that Gaming Gladiators were going for would have been a little bit exposed to the good old-fashioned mirror closet. The peek right in, use the soft wall, get the down, and be able to get away was the biggest thing. And it seems like you could almost blame Quartz for this kind of poor coverage. He was covering one angle. Obviously, there could have been some more intel from drones cutting off other angles and avenues that good old Mikey would have been able to go for. But at the end of the day, the gap was found by Mikey and exploited fully.
And in particular, just the lack of a proper setup by Gaimin altogether. They really didn't diversify all that much. They were just trying to hop their way in through both Freezer and Laundry, but with only one person in Laundry, it can be a very high gamble if that player ends up dying, which I believe happened by the hands of Carnage B. You then have to just funnel your way in through Freezer Room, and although the crossfires weren't really there, still enough kills were found in that one position where it was just a very weak situation altogether, despite the man advantage being in favor of Gaimin. Too many angles to worry about, all just in one spot of Freezer, and eventually that did allow a nice hero play to happen, still giving Unemployment that first round win. Gaimin Gladiators now having to worry about the top floor room as the actual site itself, and that exact same extension could allow for some different options of attack, and so far that will be true, as Gaimin, they want to try to start out over in small tower to maybe try to clear out this position of security and kitchen much earlier in the round than what we saw on the first one.
Yes, and personally, I'm not a big fan of this bomb site anymore because of the exact reason that you'll see with Gaimin Gladiators operator choices. They not have one set of nades, not two, not three, they have four. It is only arrow on a not nade operator, and there's so much of the floor that is destructible from down below that it feels like Unemployment, any of their anchors on the bomb site are sitting on a minefield just waiting to get blown up from below, and it means that the roam extension, your CZ and your hat down below are going to be way more impactful. They're going to have to go and try to deny some of these easy angles. Just go lava nade, make it easy.
Especially when you only have to worry about, maybe some Stereo Gates here and there, and the ADSs with that Wamai being an immediate op ban. Definitely can allow a lot more self-destruction once you clear out this middle floor position. A second entry kill now for Hat, as he's sitting quite comfortably in the middle of security, having backup from that previously mentioned Aruni as well. CZ just waiting for someone to cross in through that shower hallway, or not shower hallway, pardon, but the freezer hallway position. But so far, it's mostly just a utility burn utilizing that Gemini to get rid of the Syria gate and maybe allow those grenades to fly in through once again. But a second one is met in the hands of Silent. He'll have to go utilize one of his drones to break that one down. And Nate is tossed. It deals a lot of damage to Karn, but he still survives, able to bring out those toxic smokes for the final minute potentially.
Yes, but the biggest thing is CZ's position still. He is unknown and has made quite an interesting flank opportunity here. But as Indian more players on the bomb site, all is just left up to Mikey on the anchor and CZ to make his flank, which needs to go now. The issue has been pressed. He's all the way over towards the master bedroom, which, while holding diffuser, could be in a very strong position. If Quartz does not win this gunfight, this round is probably over.
Oh, this is a Gemini, a great play by CZ, still having case control, and no one's here to back up the Iona as well. It's still a major amount of isolation. Silent wins a very important fight, though, bringing us in that 1 versus 2, and they know where the Aruni is at this point. She goes wide, though. She needs to work that pick, and she claims it now all up to Silent, who's already low in HP. A single shot that DMR could put him in the grave, and it will. A beautiful job done by CZ, granting Unemployment a second round as Gaimin still struggle in their attacks.
Yeah, and probably the biggest MVP of that round was not the DMR of CZ, but right there in that final little gunfight came down to a bulletproof cam and the hard pings coming out to give CZ the information of, hey, he's going to get caught in a Malusi Banshee. This is your time to swing. This is your time to strike, because if CZ was still inside a master and couldn't rotate out and have a little bit more freedom to breathe in that 1v1, it would have been suffocating. It would have been a very difficult gunfight for him to win. But overall, Unemployment, they're coming away with another round. That was a 2v4, by the way, where Mikey did get a little bit over aggressive towards White, and we can maybe knock him on that one if he stayed a bit more patient. Could have gotten a kill or used the shotgun in close proximity instead of the SMG-11. But at the end of the day, still very well done by Unemployment.
And altogether, it really didn't feel like a 4v2 because Gaimin Gladiators, they just weren't playing as a team in that position. Once they had such a dominant showing altogether, it allowed so much to be capitalized on, especially by CZ. We saw the case being dropped. No one was playing top armory in time. No one was there to back up the original player over near master balcony altogether. So CZ could just sit there comfortably and work several different 1-for-1s. granting him that clutch position and also granting Unemployment another round that looked dire at one brief moment, but because they were able just to work out the mistakes that their opponents were making, they're still able to claim victory at the end of the day. And, well, a win is always going to be a win. Seems like Gaimin Gladiators now want to try something at least a little different this time about because, well, it's tertiary bomb site in selection for Unemployment. Probably the weakest site you can have in play here for Unemployment, but at this point they have to go here because they've done so well.
Yes, and Barring is already right on the exterior of the bomb site. One singular gone shot takes down that barricade, and boom, Gaimin Gladiators, they start going sicko mode. They start going towards execute phase. Some nades are going to go in, trying to remove the mute jammer so Jolton can get some lines of sights with his Selmas. But so far, they haven't been able to get rid of it, and the air jabs are also going down cut blank and make sure that there's no shenanigans from players like Indy getting aggressive. There's still an attempted T3 take from these players on Gaimin Gladiators. There was the initial bit of pressure from Mikey holding down with some diva barriers. But right now, it's just kind of Hat upstairs, making sure that nobody can push down Attic.
Well, minute 30 left to still have ends meet here for Gaming, and if they want to go in for a kitchen execute, maybe trying to clear out that roam game could be quite a big play, at least on that top floor, and also able to work the vertical as well. Hat losing a lot of his HP, but still alive to keep the rest of the offense at bay, but he walks right into a grenade and downs himself because of that, essentially, but he is in range of a teammate, so he could easily get revived so long as Gaming did not up the ante, and that will be matter of fact. He'll be brought back in the fight, still keeping us in that 5-on-5 as Gaimin Gladiators are still trying to set up for this execute. They are still wasting a lot of their own time, granting Unemployment more time just to set up in these power positions and just get ready for the oncoming fights in this final minute. Eventually, Gaimin Gladiators, they give up for the most part in that front near dining room, only leaving Barring there by himself. We have Mikey trying to get a little aggressive, maybe work some sort of early pick, but it's not going to favor him in the slightest. Now falling back close to the sandbags, Quartz across the ways, lands a nice grenade and plays up above with that hatch, cutting through Mikey's body, and now it's a huge advantage here for Gaming as Quartz is doing God's work up above, leaving just Indy in a 1v5, and Barring still waiting quite comfortably all the way in small tower, looking through dining into sight, gets the last two, a buddy ace for the offense, and finally a win to boot as well.
Yes, and with Gaimin Gladiators, I was gonna say, they don't seem to know what they want to do. They changed their point of attack so many different times. They wanted to go for a kitchen execute, then boom, they wanted to try to push down Green Hall once again into a kitchen execute, and then boom, they're moving towards a stage execute. But then Unemployment just kind of decided to hand them the keys to that round and just start peeking and getting a little bit over aggressive. But with the amount of map control that Gaimin Gladiators did have, it makes it tough to not try to push back and make sure you don't just kind of sit there and take it and get rolled over. So overall, a 2-1 split on an overall kind of even Oregon. We've seen a lot more 3-3s. Is looking pretty good for Unemployment. However, you've got to remember their basement round as well as their second floor kids dorms were kind of won at the buzzer. They were won by heroics of Mikey as well as CZ.
Yeah, it was red time when we saw eventually that play unfold inside a closet to stop the defuse from actually going down, granting that post-plant position. Seems like for Unemployment, they still want to try to waste as much time as humanly possible against Gaimin Gladiators. They will still go for the exact same extension that we saw all the way back on round number 1, which honestly I'm a big fan of. If you can have Hat be able to work off that early entry and also just stall Gaimin Gladiators a lot so they become very complacent to go in for those funnels, it definitely grants a lot of major chances for Unemployment to, again, just find those weaknesses that Gaimin Gladiators continue to replicate and just kind of walk all over them, essentially, especially when you have those very defender-sided matches. And already in the first 30 to 40 seconds, we had an engagement unfold. Not going to be a win for either side, but Quartz definitely just had a quick glimpse of death look right at him, and now having a better stack up over inside of Kitchen, that could definitely allow even more damage to be done against this Iana.
Yeah, and the biggest thing would be looking at who's taking that gunfight. It's Hat. And Hat, we've talked about so many times on the desk. I know I'm here casting, but usually on the desk of, hey, he pulls a vanishing act when he's on the defensive side. But so far, he's getting involved in the entry engagements. Sure, only 2 and 3, but both of those kills are opening pick, which has helped Unemployment win some rounds. But as kind of the rest of the team is starting to fall away, he could choose to get more aggressive and double down towards the roam. especially when right now Game Gladiators are doing the good old-fashioned, let's drone everything. Let's take a breath, let's reset, let's refresh, and make sure we don't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Not too sure if that Gemini was able to, at the very least, hear both the defenders close towards the middle of Big Tower, but at the very least, the fallback has gone completely through by Unemployment, still burning through a lot of time against Gaming Gladiators, but they still seem in a pretty decent spot to try to change things up and maybe not just all funnel their way in through Freezer. This time about Arrow maybe getting ready to go in for a laundry push, Silent just waiting for someone to maybe overextend, but CZ being able to fall back. No one playing actively on that hatch allows CZ to get away scot-free, so we're still in that 5 versus 5 with 50 seconds left to go. A grenade is thrown out, expecting someone to be playing close, but that's not going to be the case because CZ, like I said earlier, has already fallen back, and now you've got that tag team waiting for people just to slowly trudge their way forward inside of Freezer. This setup altogether looks pristine by Unemployment, as they are fully aware as to what little amount of options Gaming Gladiators has with just about half a minute left on the board. Jolton giving away his position just slightly by breaking out that barbed wire, and Arrow now picking up the case, maybe trying to go for that defuse over near Laundry once enough control is gathered, but still so much utility in the pocket of Unemployment, and the first entry is found by them as well. CZ and Mikey tag team against Jolton, granting that first kill altogether for the defense, and now we're just about ready to go into red time. And once again, what options do Gaming have? It just seems like none at this point as they continue to drop bodies. 7 seconds to go. Carnage B finds a double spray down, and Kid Hat playing in the back close to that rotation hole in Laundry finds the last one as well, and it's a complete dumpster fire in that basement site.
I thought for maybe a second with Gaming Gladiator, having that extra body up, barring not falling early to the hands of Hat into that round, kind of going into a 5v5 execute, could make things work. However, there was no misdirection once again. But having that extra body, kind of what Barring has been known for his entire career, is to go hit it from the back, to go rotate over towards tower stairs and make that misdirection play. Try to shoot some people when they're not looking at them, as well as just kind of draw the attention away from the main push. Make sure the Unemployment doesn't have 5 guns staring at 2 doorways. But unfortunately, everybody just funneled right on in. Mikey, he locked down Freezer insanely well. Those one-way angles, those ankle shots that we saw after the Kiva barriers were deployed, absolutely massive. Easy was confident enough to start swinging with the SMG-11, and Hat cleaned up at the end.
Moving back up into kids and dorms, one of the bigger issues that Gaming had was the fact they just weren't able to play together as a team, utilize that man advantage to guarantee they get themselves in a good spot to finish that execute and just find the last 2 kills that they needed. Because of that, they allowed CZ to find several 1-for-1s and completely bring back the round as a win altogether. So far, things have not been looking great altogether for Gaming Gladiators in this first half, but with the next 2 sites being either kids twice in a row or kids and then meeting room, things could definitely get a lot better for them, so long as they can just fix up on those slight mistakes we've been seeing them accomplish so far in these first 4 rounds.
Yeah, and with Unemployment not having a super close round, and seem to be really finding themselves and looking stronger every time they repeat a bomb site. It's not a really good precedent if you're a Gaming Gladiators fan, if you're waving that flag thinking that maybe Arrow is going to go back to his last year form of the top-rated player in Challenger League. Might be ready to burn that jersey. If this result holds, Gaming Gladiators will be automatically relegated, and that's not a fun position to be in. Hat is still on this roam, but it seems like for Gaming Gladiators, they're starting to kind of, encircle him and snare him. But CZ just sniffs it out completely.
Oh, here's the follow-up, though, by Barring. You can do anything you want. That LMG essentially finding both players in the first floor. It was a pretty big red flag at the beginning when Jolton charged his way in, but thankfully with Barring being not too far behind, he's able to swiftly bring the advantage full force in the favor of Gaming Gladiators time around. Now having control of that first floor, you can begin to see that vertical stances being made by the attack. They still have 3 sets of grenades, 6 in total if you want to count them each way. So a lot of potential can now be had by Gaming Gladiators. There goes the first of many frags up above, but it's not going to connect. But you've got several chances to make this work as long as you have good information to follow it up.
Yeah, and taking those first gunfights was absolutely massive, especially because there's not a whole lot of utility left on the side of Unemployment to stop anything besides the 3 toxic wave canisters of Karn and maybe He's going to die to a nade is what I was going to say, as he quite literally blows up into the sky, and Mikey, the other PC utility, falls, leaving Indy once again in a last alive situation. He's in a clutcher kick. It's a 1v4. I'm not really betting for his corner.
And he's pretty much stuck inside of Kids as well. I believe Quartz knows this now, a small ping coming out. The first grenade is going to miss, but as long as you play on this big window and have someone else go for that defuse, you should be pretty fine. So maybe able to cross over perhaps, but he'll still have to worry about Indies. He has that rotate leading from both Kids and Attic as well. A couple pop shots fire through that 416, downing Barring, but on the Finka, he might have a surge left over. It was on cooldown, but Quartz still playing in that big window, able to have enough coverage, eventually hopping in and killing the Jaeger behind that bomb chassis. Things are slowly getting better for Gaming as they had a very confident take, especially on that first floor.
Yeah, I mean, Barring finally getting involved early, and sure, it was a trade immediately off Jolton being the person to take the initial engagement, but a trade is a trade is a trade. You come out where it was a 4v3 situation, it's almost like you got the entry, even though statistically they did not. CZ got that kill onto Jolton. For Gaming Gladiators, that's a position that they're going to feel comfortable in every step of the way. And now, for Unemployment as well as Gaimin, they should feel comfortable on this bomb site from an attacking and defensive point of view. This is the third time we're seeing it played. And for Unemployment, it can be a massive round. A 4-2 split versus a 3-3 is very, very different.
Even on Oregon as well, especially since with attacker repick being a thing, we have had more 3-3 splits altogether inside of a competitive play. But even if they do lose this round, it's not the end of the world. But like you mentioned, it would be much better for them to make it that even 50-50. Unemployment not really changing all that much besides having Hat now on the alibi rather than Malusi, maybe allowing better aggression and also having a bit more utility to play off of on that top floor site itself. Interesting enough, Karn is no longer on that smoke roll. Instead, he's actually bringing out the Kaid, but the fact there is no Thatcher, if we have that hard breach be delayed in any way, shape, or form, that could actually be a really big factor to take into in that final minute.
Yeah, and neither of the electric laws have been placed down yet. So, from a Gaming Gladiators droning perspective, it's not likely that they know a Kaid is on the board, or else there would have been a swap to something like a Thatcher. Or it's kind of easy enough as a Challenger League level team to go down below and nade off an electric law, as Quartz is already in and trying to nade over back towards the back bunk of the kids' dorms area. Easy takes a little bit of damage, but not a whole lot. Still so many nades left to be thrown on the side of Gaming Gladiators. You almost want to put a $50 bill down and say, yeah, they're going to get a kill with it.
Really just a matter of when, I suppose, not even how. We know how it's going to happen, especially since there is no roam presence on that first floor. Even the basement floor as well, to try to work up one of those sets of stairs you could maybe see, go for some sort of flank later on. It's just everyone playing on the top floor and maybe forcing Gaming Gladiators to waste a little bit of their own time. The first of many X-Car charges will begin to fly in through by the Habana, and it seems like Karn has finally tossed out one of those many Electro Claws that should be able to trick the wall, as the charge time on those Habana pellets can take a very long amount of time. So as long, if it was done correctly, that wall should stay open, and then Gaming have to completely change up their attacking style once again with now a minute 20 left to go.
You know, more nades still going down below. That's the constant that we've seen across these two rounds from Gaming Gladiators attack. But, you know, one has been successful and one has not been. And it's really been hinging upon these opening picks and just getting kill after kill and keeping the momentum into their favor, as opposed to letting a player have a hero play on the side of Unemployment. But the execute, John, it's actually going down right now and it's looking chaotic.
And Karn is able to find two, stopping the plant with that Nitro Cell. Arrow is able to hop past the player in Kids, but cannot evade the explosion. Quartz, up above in white, is able to cut through Indy's skull, but it's still a man advantage favoring Unemployment. 40 seconds left to salvage this, but currently Jolton, he's not in a spot to fight. He has to reposition, and he has to back up Quartz if they want to try to salvage this round and make it that even 50-50 split that you and I both were talking about regarding this first half round count. Quartz looking the wrong way, gets caught off guard by CZ, leaving Jolton still outside of the building and not left with anything else but his LMG at this point and a dream to try to win this 1 versus 3. 15 seconds left to go. A Prisma being thrown at the face essentially to mock Jolton, as once again he's just low on options. He couldn't even try to rotate up white stairs. He just doesn't have enough time to simply do that and check to see if anyone's trying to play close. He hops in the building as a last ditch effort, but gets cut down swiftly by that MX4 Storm, and Unemployment, they take the lead 4-2.
Yes, and really well done from a rushed out execute of Gaimin Gladiators. The bomb was going down as players were still trying to nade below. They hadn't cleared certain positions. And for Silent, I know he's not a true part of this team, he's just a sub, but the nades were not allocated to the right positions that could really stop that big window plant. The biggest thing would be the player right next to the hatch that has the footholds and that can take the angles to stop the jump in of the big window. And that area wasn't cleared anymore. It was naded very early on into the round and then left alone. And that's the most important part that you cannot leave alone as a Gaimin Gladiator attacker. Their checklist, it was missing a massive step. And that's why they got punished. It was a flurry of kills in Unemployment's way, and really well done for them to capitalize upon the mistake of the Gaimin Gladiator attack. But now the shoe is on the other foot, John. We're going to see, can Unemployment actually attack? Are we going to see how they can break something down with Silent on a crazy Oryx roam and downstairs? Two ways to really reconstruct the bomb site that might be a little bit unexpected for Unemployment. The Kiba barriers of Barring as well as the mural windows of Jolton.
Wondering if we'll have Jolton. I believe he's already put all of his mirror windows down, mostly being utilized for the site setup and not anything overextensive. But because of those roam ups, such as the Oryx, like you had mentioned, we're still going to have that roam game try to thrive in this round's Unemployment. Probably going to have to spend a little bit of resources up above before they eventually work their way down into the basement floor. Jolton actually is, I believe, ratting in a corner in Classroom. Don't know if that's going to pay any dividends, but maybe it works out for him. Unsure if that's totally. Yep, he is actually playing in the midst of Classroom, and he almost finds one next to that school bus, but I don't think he actually can spot the head at all. It's a pretty tough spot to locate, so instead he'll fall back. Carnage across the map dies to a smoke grenade. Huh. Don't know how that happened, but your hard breach gone, things could be a little more challenging, and it might just be a blue bunker rush at this point. Yeah, we've confirmed it. Our observer has finally spotted it in the middle of the round. It's just a 3 versus 3, but no one's watching Big Tower Stairs. Silent whiffs a ton of bullets and is not able to find this kill on Ayana. Will it backfire? No, it won't, as he charges right in front of Silent, granting him that kill at the T5, and now those roamers can begin to retake the bomb site in a 3 versus 2.
And the biggest thing would be the Finka of Hat is actually who killed Karn. As soon as that adrenal surge comes in, you take a lot more damage of Toxic Babes. But him and Indy both getting kills, now making it a third, brings that 2v3 where both players were on completely different sides and playing solo. Nets just enough fragging potential for Unemployment to win that round. And that was a little bit of a chaotic one. Not a real structured, down-to-earth, methodical kind of clear. Instead, Unemployment saying, hey, we don't think Gaimin Gladiators can shoot as well as us. We're just going to push the site. We don't care about the roam. We don't care about Barring's Kiba barriers inside of Dining, making different lines of sight and angles to kind of be annoying over towards holding that bit of map control. They're just going to go straight for the bomb site, and it ended up working.
Yeah, that round was, like I had mentioned, completely unstructured. I'm going to be honest. I thought Unemployment would slow down that 3v2, but no, they upped the ante and got a little bit of a Connor play-by-play action there. Don't get to see that one every day, so enjoy it while it lasts. Blink, you might have missed it. Same thing goes for the round altogether, though. And Barring gets impacted either by himself or a teammate. And now he is exactly on half health. A reattempt being made now inside of the laundry bomb site with the same extension revealing itself. I could assume Unemployment don't want to go for the exact same rush play, so they might have to deal with their challenges head on this time. But, I mean, maybe it's just a double play, perhaps, because Gaming are not going to expect you to go for a rush twice in a row. It actually works. Only time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if you expect the unexpected, then when unexpected becomes expected, are you truly expecting what is unexpected? I don't know. But all we do know is Barring, like you mentioned, taking 50% HP means that Unemployment aren't really fighting Barring. They're just trying to fight the ring. They get the latter half the amount of bullets, and it should help them take down this roam, especially when it doesn't seem like the players for Gaimin Gladiators are truly playing off themselves, off each other that well. As I say that arrow, he's going to open up with a beautiful kill on the Hat as Indy also falls to the utility of Jolton before Barring is cleaned up by CZ. The smoke has settled for just a bit, but Mikey is trying to kick up some more dirt, getting aggressive over towards Trophy.
At least we have that cutoff established in case Silent is going to fall back. There is someone playing underneath near that bottom white stairwell. That audio call being so loud, the Oryx might turn around to try to outduel this player, and actually works out without a single hitch going down. Now both Arrow and Silent can play up above pretty much uncontested, as Mikey is currently by himself with nothing but his F2 and his own thoughts. Because of that, he'll end up falling back and maybe trying to assist Carnage in these last couple of moments. Still a minute 40 to kill, so you have a lot of time to play with, but still needing to worry about that roam game. It's definitely going to be very challenging, especially when you have that 4 versus 2. But Gaimin Gladiators, they actually have to go for the safest play in the book. They completely give up that top floor and just try to play for numbers in that basement floor. Not a bad idea at all, especially if you can establish those immediate crossfires or just try to isolate people one by one. Mikey drops down the hatch by himself, not even waiting for Carnage to set up in those back stairs, granting a pretty free 1-for-1, now leaving just a Habana by themselves with not much really left to do. I mean, yeah, sure, they could try to go and win this 1v4, but Gaimin Gladiators, it just seems like they do not want to throw this round down the drain, as they don't want Unemployment getting match points so early in this best of 1 series.
Yeah, he might have the super charm on right now, but that does not describe his chances of winning this round, because the Toxic Babe canisters are pretty indicative of, hey, we know exactly where you are, and every single player of Gaimin Gladiators is like a hungry wolf trying to pounce upon their prey. Some flashbangs, some baiting, some probably talking to the team is now cut short, as Arrow is going to come in and finish the round just like he started with a beautiful kill.
Much better round altogether by Gaimin Gladiators. I mean, the roam play they were trying to actually pull off last time had to be attacked in through by Unemployment, so that does make at least a smidge of sense, having both the Oryx and Melusi playing off each other quite well, someone consistently setting up an addict, and having no one to directly challenge that player, it did leave a lot of weight thrown off of Silent's shoulders, especially when he was eventually able to kill that player walking up white. Again, no utility, no grenades being thrown out underneath, effectively at the very least, just trying to solo your way up above to get in that top floor position. It just makes a ton of noise, and because no one was able to get that much map control, as there was still a player inside of Addict, there was no way to properly coordinate a tag team attack against him. So just Gaimin Gladiators being able to dissect that top floor roam was very well done, but they are still down at a slight disadvantage, and if Unemployment can just get a couple more clean rounds, this could be lights out for Gaming.
Yeah, a couple, as in literally they only need 2. And sure, if Gaimin Gladiators get to overtime, it can help them out if LSR and Aerial Arise continue to flounder, but they almost need this big 3 points. 2 is not quite enough. So one more round by Unemployment, it almost might be wraps for the GG boys. But Jolton, he seems to be wanting to get aggressive. Beautiful shot that we always see. You wait for 253 and then shoot out the barricade. You can usually find a free kill. However, he actually ends up worse for wear because of that, I think, Adrenal Surge. Hat can just re-heal up a couple of bullets from Cade's AUG 3, and now it's like nothing ever happened except Jolton take damage. He took so much damage, he's down on the floor inside the bomb site because Mikey decides to swing Trophy Door 30 seconds into the round.
Oh, and thank God he's not able to find that shot onto the Vulcan pack. That could have been a pretty funny way to confirm that kill. EMP goes out. Can Jolton try to stop the Thermite charge? Probably not, as you cannot throw it quick enough, especially when multiple EMPs are being tossed to deny that secondary Electro Claw of being successful at all in terms of electrifying that wall back up. So in the first minute, you have a new line of sight, a new entryway into the objective, and that potential to get that defuse down. Already pretty good pacing here by Unemployment, but what our observer was able to catch is the fact that Arrow might have a small chance to not only go for a Nitro Cell toss-up, maybe with a lot of that flooring being soft in the southern side, but also attempting a flank perhaps, especially if Karn does not check Arrow, but I believe he just did. Arrow now confirming a spot by destroying that piece of information and now trying his best to run away. He loses a lot of HP, and Hat able to get Quartz off the board as well, a major piece of utility to stall this round altogether, but at least Barring finally finds something for his trouble. CZ with the nade over near the single window leading towards White Stairs, shuts down Jolton. Eventually that damage Cade being eradicated, and CZ still playing outside, able to find a second one. The Goyo that was roaming, having the potential to flank, is now completely silenced.
Yep, but Silent is still alive, and he's over towards his almost dead teammate of Barring, who fell down towards top white. Ooh, good go for the res, but the execute is going down for Unemployment. More shots going in as a beautiful flick goes on for Silent. He's just left alive with 5 HP. The Vulcan shield will cut him off. He cannot go up White Stairs, has to rotate all the way around, and CZ's going to get the bomb down in the meantime.
And not a great position altogether for Silent, having only one option essentially to try to come back up above, and Hat is just greeting him with open arms and an open gun with that LMG. Only 5 health to his name. He's not going to last that much longer, and match point is now on the board for Unemployment. Things looking more and more grave for the defensive side as they are just not having their day, so to see him on this equalizer map, Connor.
Yeah, not looking quite good because we have to go to a tertiary bomb site. Not going to be downstairs in the basement where for Gaimin Gladiators they found some success and looked a lot better with the top floor roam as well as the peel-offs all looking clean. We're going to be going to a bomb site that can be picked apart properly by Unemployment if they go for the correct kind of ideas. You already see Karn on the thermite, means we're probably going to see a big tower take. There's not a whole lot of utility for the side of Gaimin Gladiators defense that will kind of stop this. They'll be just barring up there with maybe an ADS or 2 allocated to his position, but flashes and nades can make you quick work with that, as well as coordinated window play from Unemployment if they want to take that map control.
Well, I'm really interested to see if we maybe have an OSA to help enable that post plant position, because like you mentioned, there's a high likelihood we end up seeing that backstage attack near Big Tower. Seems like that's not going to be confirmed, though, by Unemployment. They do have a little bit of flank watch, so they definitely don't have to waste as much time trying to clear out crucial parts of the map. But Jolton will definitely try to give Unemployment a run for their money by playing up above, utilizing both some ADSs and his own keep barriers to maybe just slow down the offense and maybe work a lucky pick. Hey, maybe he's able to kill somebody like Carnage B. That could grant Gaimin Gladiators a very important round to make sure they stay in the fight for longer on Oregon.
Yeah, and every round would be better. You want Gaimin Gladiators to get to that magic 6-6 point, but as Jolton's going to take some bullets straight through the wall, CZ goes down, and that's absolutely massive. Not before he's picked up and finished off once again by Jolton swinging at the right time, making sure that the Finka of Hat didn't really have an impact, and that's a wasted adrenal surge, which is quite unfortunate. More Kiva barriers being thrown all around, making sure that you can't just walk in on Jolton. You're going to have to get some soft destruction. You're going to have to make sure that you remove that pieces of utility to really take a shot at the king that we've seen so far inside of Attic.
Well, Hatch trying to work his way up White, having a drone to feed him tons of information. Arrow potentially expecting that, tries to swing, but cannot outrule the LMG. Now having multiple assets up above, they can try to deal with Jolton. He does have a fallback escape, and as he finds that first kill, almost a second on the fadeaway, he'll eventually go and retreat into that first floor, but already finding 2 kills on that Azami play, and also wasting the first half of the action phase. That is still a great amount of damage done altogether by Jolton.
Yeah, really well done, because probably the biggest factor that he did was kill nearly 2 minutes of time and really stop and make Indy go way slower and not have as much time to play around with the soft destruction. Feel a little bit more rushed because eventually Unemployment are going to have to transition into their execute phase. Seems to be going down over towards Kitchen. The breach is opened up. Mikey has these flanks locked down and is actually having extra air jabs to put inside the bomb site, which means pretty much Silent is the only one that can stop this plant from going down. They have a good idea that he's inside of security, and they're going to take care of him.
Well, there goes the Banshee destroyed, one of the only things slowing down the offense except for these toxic smokes, but they're not really going to meet their mark as mostly intended. A flank is being tried out by Gaimin Gladiators up the freezing stairs, and that could potentially be something to work out for them, but Jolton is still having a heater of a round. He finds his third on the Azami. Mikey having to get aggressive is trying to work for some sort of kills. A 2v4 is very unlikely to be won, but there's a crossfire being established by Gaimin Gladiators. Quartz and Silent clean up the round, and at least won't be a quick 7-3. We need another round to decide how this matchup goes out.
Yep. Really well done. Really well done, especially by Jolton. You already mentioned it. He had an absolute heater of a round. The time killed upstairs as well as the players was absolutely massive, and it allowed the rest of his team to just sit back and play good old-fashioned crossfires where fatal funnels came through on the side of Unemployment. And they didn't have enough bodies to really play the trade game the way that they wanted. So, really well done by Gaimin Gladiators, and they're getting to go back downstairs to the basement, which means potentially, if we see the success on the roam once again from the Gaimin Gladiators up on that top floor, then we'll see absolute regulation maximum. And that would probably be going upstairs, the second floor.
I would assume so, but because how well that top floor extension played out for gaming, maybe dining, but a lot of teams don't even like to try out dining room here and there, especially in NA, so yeah, I could probably imagine it's going to be kids instead, which is still a bit of a worry for them because they just didn't have a good performance for the most part when they were defending that top floor. Unemployment were very dominating in terms of getting that vital map control, opening up those walls to allow a potential plant setup, and just keeping gaming at a safe distance to where Unemployment could do enough as to what they needed on the round. But hey, at least gaming for right now, they can play the most defender favorite bomb site, that being Laundry, and still try to go out for, roughly speaking, the exact same setup, besides I believe having Silent now on the Thorn. The first time I think we've seen her in this best of one matchup, and that can feed a lot more information altogether with those Razor Blooms, maybe a lucky kill, as we have had that happen a couple times this stage, but more or less an extra shield for the anchor game, that's also huge as well.
The biggest thing would be the crosshair displacement and the audio cue for the defenders. That, you know, if you hear the Razor Bloom going off and you swing off of it, it's either going to be you kill the person or the Razor Bloom will kill them as they have to go turn and shoot it. It's all about timing there, and timing went the favor of Barring as he swings out and takes Easy down, trying to enter in from the bottom of Big Tower, or pardon me, Small Tower. The rest of his team is trying to pick up the pieces, mainly Hat taking some initiative over towards the bathroom hallway. We've seen him have a lot of success with this LMG in his hand, especially if there's a drone at his feet. And as soon as you hear the LMG start firing, 4 Gaimin Gladiators, they decide to peel straight off. Sure, that's a good funny joke, but most likely it's kind of the Gaimin Gladiator mentality of, hey, we got to pick, we can fall off, let's try to waste as much time as possible.
The double drop down did go through. One player still above near Big Tower, I believe it'd be, but for the most part, Unemployment have to put a lot of their focus and probably trying to break these mirror windows. They do have a Twitch available. Mikey could maybe get a lot of work done for his team so long as no one's looking at the right place here altogether. Breaking out a couple of Razor Blooms as well to make sure as little amount of information can be gathered here by that defensive side. Mikey charging his way through. So far, only the smoke detecting that Twitch drone, but they're able to land the shots just enough to make sure that drone gets destroyed, so both Miras still being up and available for this final minute attack. And so far, Gaimin Gladiators really showing no weaknesses. They have everything on lockdown and still having these mirror windows available until one of the two almost gets broken, just enough to where no one can play directly on top of it. It does allow a lot of nice long lines of sight and a lot of problems for Unemployment, as they have to always worry about someone swinging at an ungiven time to try to rip their head clean off potentially. The first of many grenades is tossed out by Hap, but currently he's being blocked off by a toxic smoke. A Nitro Cell will be a complete dud by the defense, but still, it doesn't really matter. Unemployment, they have to make this first move with only 20 seconds left, and here's the flank by Arrow. A beautiful double kill with the MP5. Indy finds 2 as well for his troubles, but it's still a major disadvantage for Gaimin Gladiators, and they're so short on time. Just about 10 seconds left. Barring expecting a drop down brings Carnage to about 5 HP, but he's still alive and roughly well, but not for much longer. Barring confirming the kill he tried earning much earlier in this round, but still gets the job done, and closer we get to that potential of overtime, Connor.
Yeah, and the biggest thing there to take away was what Unemployment's game plan was. It seems like they put all their eggs in the basket of Mikey trying to sneak that Twitch drone in and take down the Mira windows, because their frontside push against Mira was not really working out. It was not looking good. It was insanely stalled, because when you see Mira up on the board with a Mira in the closet as well as on the bomb wall, you typically don't go for a frontside take. But for Carnage B's team here, they didn't want to go for a back take. Even though a lot of their success, you know, their one attacking win on that bomb site did come from a blue rush. They know how to take blue, they know how to take the bunker, they know how to take pillar. But instead, they just decided to switch things up, go classic on a frontside take 2 times in a row against Amira, and lost both of them.
Well, it seems like for Unemployment, they're not going to have to worry about those pesky mirror strats any longer, but the adaptation definitely could have been justified and probably helpful to maybe try to not have overtime be a very high likelihood, just winning out the matchup 7-4, but also taking that round with a grain of salt. You lost the entry, and you also have to attack the most defender-favored site So it can be very difficult no matter what goes down. Kids and dorms up on the drawing board. Once again, we're not going to see that dining room site in play as we both suspected. And Gaming still trying to go on these small extensions and trying to utilize these key barriers as proactively as possible just to make sure they can hold on to these positions close towards that small tower position to make sure that the attack cannot set up properly to try to get those grenades in play. And speaking of grenades, one of your only few players that has those frags is already gone as Jolton lands another vital entry kill for his team.
Yeah, very well done indeed. Because Unemployment has struggled when they don't have a 5v5 execute historically. They're a team that likes to have all their I's dotted and T's crossed in order to feel comfortable going for anything aggressive or overall structured. Here, Jolton, he's still swinging these beautiful plays over towards the rappel, and Barring's actually going to fall at the hands of CZ, once again going for an entry. Arrow still down below. We saw him be incredibly impactful over towards these freezer stairs last round with a flank, and hopefully for Gaimin Gladiators' hopes, they'll be just as impactful here on a completely different bomb site.
Ooh, CZ's still watching, actually waiting for someone to swing near that singular window. Not going to happen, though. Arrow's going to remain patient. Maybe wait to confirm that no one's playing there any longer. CZ almost finds the kill on the alibi, though. That could have been massive. Another opportunity springs up once again. Silent just barely grazing his way past death's doorstep. And same thing can be said for Quartz as well. Both players now very low on HP, and Unemployment just about ready to get this execute underway. Hat finally gets another kill for himself, but Arrow is there with a nice nitro cell tossed up to detonate right on the Finka's feet. 3 versus 3 now, even footing once again, and Gaming Gladiators still able to utilize not only the toxic smokes, but those Vulcan packs to try to stall Unemployment as much as they can, but only having a single smoke grenade to maybe stop the Thermite from getting this plant down. This could make things very troublesome in the final 50 seconds. That last Toxic Babe is finally tossed out. And also with Quartz and Silent being very low on HP, just a couple of shots need to be landed. Unemployment could greatly bring these odds back towards themselves. With just about 30 seconds left to go, the ADS is catching some of those vital flashes, but eventually the third and final one will meet its mark. Carnage now will lead the front, trying to get that defuse down. Silent waiting at the top of White, trying to swing against the Thermite. Both him and Arrow dive bomb upon the Thermite, and now the defense, they strike back with this major advantage. 20 seconds left to go. Unemployment need to rechange where they want this defuse to go down, but with so many lines of sight, they have tried to charge forward with the case, but Quartz and Arrow are waiting with such good grace, and overtime is now on the board for both teams.
And what's confusing to me is that the angle, the deep angle that Mikey was holding early on from Trophy all the way to White was no longer being held by anybody on the side of Unemployment, where that's kind of the only place that Gaimin Gladiators could stop the plant from. They knew that there was nobody down below. They had to cut off drones and knew that there wasn't going to be a nitro cell in one of those off plant spots that Carnage B chose for his team. Instead, it was the swing from the White side rotate that would be the only way to make sure the bomb didn't go down. And it wasn't covered. The I's were not dotted, the T's were not crossed. Carnage B's Unemployment team did not work out. And now they're going in on an attack that they haven't really had a whole lot of success with in the traditional way. Only the rush came through where Indian Hat went huge after the 2v4 situation was the only success that they had here, as they might be staring down the barrel of an overtime loss potentially because Gaimin Gladiators have that starting defensive side.
Well, for Gaming altogether, at least getting 1 point is going to go a very long way, especially if they want to, at the very least, try to get into Rels. They've got a very tough matchup on the final Playday as well against Reality TV, so really the odds are not favored towards them in the slightest. If they're able to get the full 2 points with an overtime victory, that could be huge. And with you mentioning the side favoring them on the defense, that actually could go a much longer way than actually anticipated. But Unemployment as well, they have made some small mistakes, and they're looking to try to readjust against them. Carnage, shockingly finding the entry onto Arrow as he was trying to go for a peek over near that single window, hopping towards that Armory Hall and also that Deer/Trophy side as well. A beautiful shot landed by Carnage altogether, and that is something huge that Unemployment needed to find since they have been so weak on those entries with their attacks.
And especially when you would expect Hat to be getting involved in a lot of the gunfights. Sure, Carnage B, he'll take one of those for his stats and make him look just that little bit prettier, as arrows aren't going to be as pretty And probably the biggest thing for Arrow last 2 rounds ago was his flank that won the round for Gaimin Gladiators. And now he's immediately taken off the board because he got a little bit too happy and went for a spawn peek and got punished. Here we saw some drone work out from the side of Unemployment, making sure that those entry denial devices did not catch somebody like Hat off guard on the kitchen door. Barring still left unchecked, undroned, and unknown of his position, is trying to push towards Z and help Jolton out as he bears the brunt of the rest of the Unemployment players trying to take this map control.
Waiting for someone to try to swing him over through Z. Barring not wanting to definitely stack up with Jolton, he'll just change spots and he work his way in through kitchen. Nitrocell will be tossed out. He might be able to catch this Nomad on the drone, but not able to do it just in time. Mikey gets off the cam though, and then immediately in the line of sight of this Capcan. Barring still holding strong on the top floor, but not for much longer as CZ will eventually eliminate that player still up in the first floor. 60 seconds to go. Unemployment now reclaiming that man advantage, and for the most part, not having to worry about that flank potential unless Silent wants to try to get spicy in this round. It doesn't really matter all that much that Mikey has now fallen, except for the fact that another gun up could have been nice. 3 Capcans being stacked up, trying to find a free kill, and some walking into blue bunker for free will get destroyed by Hat, and now they can try to charge their way in through once these toxic smokes get relieved. The first one to fall, Quartz will now fall back for a couple seconds to maybe throw one down over near E-Box. That will be confirmed. Hat just charges through it, now having control of blue bunker, almost spots out one to the single wall, but cannot connect those vital shots. Trying to help out Indy now as he begins to trench his way closer in towards E-Box perhaps, but Jolton and Silent tag in at the exact same time, playing in the rack corner. The Thorn finds so much damage, and Quartz with the last one as well, sitting close near elbow, will land one quick buckshot against Carnage B, and despite that entry kill and despite that decent position by Unemployment, they still lose the round.
Yeah, everything fell apart because there was positions left unchecked. And for Gaimin Gladiators, actually really well done by a player under the name of Silent, who doesn't actually play for this team, to push that and retake some map control. Everybody on this team just kind of peeled all the way back over towards the laundry side, and we're giving up the bomb site. And he decided, like, hey, you know what? I can push up to the double door right next to Pillar, and I highly doubt that Unemployment are going to really expect me to be in this position. And everybody lined up. There was a soft wall. Deep angles were used by players like Jolton, and then Silent was swinging for close and did so much damage that Unemployment was completely stopped in their tracks. Could not get any momentum back, and then Quartz finished off the final player, pushing through one of his smoke canisters with the good old M590 that never fails.
Just gotta believe in the Mossberg, I suppose. Seems like Quartz did in that round. Altogether, Unemployment just having a major issue with trying to gather that information at the right time. We saw them struggle a lot when having any proper flank watch, so Mikey did try to switch onto that Nomad. Eventually, they deal with the roam game, but still that lack of information is going to bite them in the rear, as they had no idea where the Thorn was playing. They didn't know if Elbow had been completely given up by the offense. It was just a lot of small issues that had a really big impact as to if they were going to win that 4 versus 3 or not, and it seems like they ended up losing that one out. And Gaimin Gladiators will actually take the lead after having 4 successful round wins against Unemployment, but now they have to play once again on the attacking side, which overall was nowhere near as good as it was in comparison to how they played on their defensive side. But maybe something unique, maybe something like that pick on the Amaro could maybe change things for them.
Maybe it could, but you were saying that Gaimin Gladiators took the lead. This is their first league lead of the entire game. And hey, it only took 13 rounds to get here. As now Quartz, he's already cutting off towards Green Hall, making sure that if there was any aggression towards Big Tower, they would not be able to fall back over towards Kitchen. They'd have to fall all the way back down to the bomb site. Instead, really locking in and cutting those avenues is really great work from Gaimin Gladiators, as they're also going to be able to just take out the top of the wall because of the mute radius, and then can just nade straight through and not worry about that mute jammer blocking off the ability to cut all of meeting with just a few X-Kairos pellet.
Although there was no top floor roam, so Barring's pick on the Amaro is a little silly here. At least he has flash grenades and also an LMG, so it's not completely for naught, I suppose. That definitely could have been a better option if Gaming were aware that there was no major roam game in stock for Unemployment on round number 14. Eventually, the rotate will happen in through blue bunker doorway, but Carnage is still playing in that prime spot over near elbow, just waiting for someone to try to trust their way forward, maybe burn through a bit of utility to try to break that shield, and then he'll go in for the push to try to start throwing out those toxic smokes. One is primed and now ready. The nade is tossed, but at least Carnage himself can evade it. The shield, it can't really be all that mobile, so it has to sit completely still and will get destroyed, but Carnage still able to hold this position and waste potentially 20 more seconds. It's definitely going to go a long way to help out the rest of Unemployment to once again stack up and make sure there are a couple of options for them. The flank being attended by Hat is completely stopped by Silent before things get too hectic in this round, so the first entry and first kill altogether is found by Gaimin, but they cannot keep that advantage for that much longer. CZ with the Mossberg is able to get rid of Silent. Jolton springs up though on an Indie Arrow. A beautiful shot shuts down the smoke, leaving just CZ match point on his fingertips. He needs to win this 1v4 to keep the rest of his team alive and well, but can't even outduel Arrow against that long angle with the Type 89. Despite a lot of us thinking this match would be a quick win for Karn & Co. or Unemployment now, that will not be the case. And Gaming, they get essentially a reverse sweep and win this matchup 8-6.
Yeah, they looked quite good while doing it as well. Maybe Silent should be on the roster forever because he has just as many points in his one game than all of Gaimin Gladiators has had across like 7 games this entire stage.
Yeah.
Do with that information as you will, as you wish, and as you desire. But at the end of the day, really well done by Gaimin Gladiators, especially on that last round. They finally fixed one of their glaring issues for their basement attacks, being putting everything all in one basket. No misdirection at all. We saw a push from Blue as well as the pillar side stairs, and even a little bit of pressure towards Freezer to just move a couple of those eyes of the side of Unemployment's defense away. Those guns, point them in a different direction, and it had a whole lot of success.
Yeah, major win overall for Gaimin Gladiators. A regulation win would have been much better, as they would have only needed a single point potentially against Reality TV. But, you know, at least it does slim the margin that they have a better chance of at the very least getting put in the relegation spot rather than just being completely taken out of Challenger League. But we'll send it over to the analysts to get their 2 cents on the matter after Gaimin Gladiators surprised probably a lot of us going in this best of 1.
So far, it seems like the day of the sub, of course, Connor doing a fantastic job casting, and then Silent with a huge game for Gaimin Gladiators. Cookies, the one thing that kept coming to my mind, the one phrase that I kept repeating was no quarter given. This was a grindy matchup where neither team was going to let the other one make a mistake and let them get away with it.
It was pretty interesting. In the mid game, there was like a bunch of trades of flawless rounds between the attack and defense, unlike anything we had really seen all stage. Of course, both teams are just trying to do whatever they can to get out of this game. Funny enough, I did pick Gaimin to win, to answer fellow there. I picked him to win this game. I'm just gonna put that out there. And it was, as you said, momentum all over the place. Really hard to call until the end, where Gaimin Gladiators just apparently rattled off a bunch of rounds in a row to win this game. And if you're Karn's team, oh my goodness, this is like the 50th time that's happened.
Well, yeah, a bunch of rounds in a row. They were up 6-3 now. Any round at that point could have won them the match. But Tanner, that one in particular was that round 12 where they had the advantage in that round and by all means should have closed it out right then and there.
I don't know if there was miscommunication or maybe they were hearing like a dead C4 or something like that, but they managed to, properly waste all the utility from the defenders. They had no C4s, they had no smokes left, they had all the crosses they needed, and then they ended up rotating one of their coverages over to big window and then attempted to plant on the breach. And Silent, who's playing top white, had the freest plant denial of his life, which ended up bringing it to overtime. That was a round that Unemployment should have won. And fundamentally, like, they had won that round at a macro level. It's just like a micro decision to plant on that bomb or on the breach absolutely cost them. Going into this game, though, I want to commend some players here. I know CZ in particular, he had a very explosive defensive half. And Silent coming in, coming into Challenger League as a substitute player is never easy. But to come onto your team and be your top frag and be your hard carry and be someone that's impactful almost every single round with that 86% cost, you got to commend Silent, which is not the same Silent, by the way, just so it's clear. I don't know if it was brought up already, but it's not the same Silent from LG. This is a previous player. His name's Peter. I used to coach him back in the day. And, it's nice to see him come back in the league and show that, he still has all the goods.
Yeah, and there's only one thing to do now, and that would be to give an interview to Courts because, man, oh man, this is an interesting game to talk about. Courts, big,
Yes.
big win for you guys. I mean, it can't be overstated that this is an important matchup, not just given that you guys were sitting in the last position, but you're going up against one of those teams that you're probably or you are competing against. What were you guys talking about before this match to kind of say, look, we need this?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew we needed this, but I guess we didn't have too much time to talk about it because we
Mm.
learned this morning that Rudy wouldn't be able to play because his internet or his power is
Mhm.
out for his entire area. So we had to find a sub, make it approved by Faceit, and thank you for these guys for making it happen. And thank you also to Silent who played a
Mhm.
big game today. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we knew it'd be a good game, a tough game and an important game for us, and we got the points that we needed today.
Are you happy with the 2-point win, or are you thinking to yourself, oh, it could have been 3? Or
I mean, it needed to be three. I mean, we're more thinking about yesterday, where we needed to get those 3 points yesterday against
Mhm.
one shot today. I mean, we came back from a 6-3 deficit, so it's not really like, I mean, yes, we could have had three, but we were playing with the sub,
Yeah.
and so 2 points is a good enough results for us. It's it's
Mhm.
putting us closer to teams like LSR and Aerial Rise. So hopefully we don't get auto relegated for the
Mhm.
next stage.
Now, in round 3, you guys did have that flawless round. It was mighty impressive. But then, what's the discussion when the next round, unemployment comes back with a flawless round of their own? Is it another little bit of a reset there for you guys?
Yeah, I guess we took it round by round. Like we don't really think about it like
Mhm.
what happened last round. We're just it's game day. We don't have to talk about it too much unless like there's big flaws. Then we just
Mhm.
go into next round, and especially on attack, like it's more so like let's talk about next attack
Yeah.
because obviously we never played with San before, so we also had to explain to him like what's his job and what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So
Well, congratulations for the win. It's huge for you guys, and best of luck for the rest of the stage.
thank you very much.
Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, it's funny to say that might be the most impactful matchup of today. Ironically, usually we're talking about it's the ones on the top end that are impactful, but given the current circumstances, it's going to be interesting to see how that bottom end plays out for the rest of the stage. But that's only one matchup down. We've got 4 more to go. The next one after this quick break will be West Garfield Park taking on Luminosity.